Good morning, 9:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I hope that you have had a fantastic weekend. Mac, did you have a good weekend?
That was great, man.
Ken Weaver, did you have a good weekend? Ken's not even back there.
We'll take that as a yes.
Ken had a great weekend. Spoiler alert. All right, today, 9/11. This is my first show ever on 9/11. I've been like kind of wondering which route do you go. You know what I mean? It's a somber day in American history. But there's a lot of things that happened after 9/11 that I don't really particularly enjoy. Every year on 9/11, I actually put it on my Twitter if you want to see it, at Chris Hand on air. Every year I see this photo, and it hits me in the feels. And it hits me in the feels for a number of reasons. It's this photo with a young girl standing, and she has the Twin Towers in the background, right? And it hits me in the feels because of the caption that it says. The caption says, I'll read it to you. The caption says, "The world you were raised to survive in, no longer exists." The world you were raised to survive in no longer exists. And it's a little girl with the Twin Towers in the background. And that hits me in the feels. I mean, I'm old enough to remember walking to the gate at the airport without a ticket. I'm old enough to remember a time when we all didn't have a government tracking device in our pocket. I'm old enough to remember a time before the Patriot Act. So, I don't want to disrespect the heroes or the victims of 9/11, but we're now 22 years removed from it. Where are we at as a country? What are we doing? What are we doing? It's an awkward thing to talk about because I want to be respectful, and I think that being respectful to the heroes of 9/11 and the firefighters. My grandfather was a firefighter. It's important. What those men and women did that day to save people and dealing with what they had to deal with on the ground. It's unbelievable. But then there's a lot of questions too. There's a lot of questions about 9/11. The 9/11 Commission had less money spent on that than the investigation for the blue dress with Bill Clinton. So it's a tough topic. It's a tough topic. I want to know what you think about it. 615-737-9986. Sean Davis of the Federalist put out this tweet, and I thought it was so good. Sean Davis, who's the CEO of the Federalist, he wrote on Twitter, "In hindsight, 9/11 looks like it might have been the beginning of the end of the American empire. It spawned the worst and most destructive foreign policy in the country's history. The government response to 9/11 birthed the constitutional abomination that is modern warrantless surveillance state. The Patriot Act enabled the government to weaponize its vast resources against its own people. Bush's failed foreign policy led directly to Obama's presidency and indirectly to Biden's, both of which are responsible for diminishing the U.S. at home and abroad, militarily and economically. After two failed forever wars that wouldn't have happened without 9/11, our government is now desperately trying to foment potentially nuclear forever war against Russia. Meanwhile, all the massive surveillance powers claimed by the U.S. after 9/11 are being ruthlessly deployed against American political enemies of the regime via the most insidious censorship industrial complex the world has ever seen. And then there's the crippling legacy of debt enabled by America's response to 9/11. Not content to spend trillions on poorly thought out invasions of Iraq and Afghanistan, our leaders spent as thoughtlessly at home, creating insane amounts of new entitlements while doing nothing to put the country on sound financial footing. So where are we today? The ruling political party is criminalizing its opposition and attempting to throw its top political opponent and its supporters in prison, all under the guise of democracy. Now, we generally remember 9/11 as a day that the towers came down, but I wonder if historians will look back on it as the day America started to fall. Was 9/11 the day America started to fall? 615-737-9986. Carl in Nashville, you're on the line on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Carl?
Hey, Chris. I thank you for taking my call, and I'm on the road. Traffic's a little behind, and I'm just like you. I am a very patriotic man. I despise flying now, and you know what? I just want to be honest with you. I respect everyone. I'm still angry about this, about 9/11, 2001. But the mere fact that George W. Bush, which I voted for, he supported this Homeland Security, and I will tell you this: I doubt one terrorist in the United States of America since that day has ever been caught in the line when these federal employees, and I'm angry about it, that I have to take my belt off. I'm treated like a criminal.
Yep.
When in reality it's a big, huge, fat bureaucracy that people voted for. So anyway, I prayed to God. I remember the terminals where you could go down to your terminal, and my father and my sister came and picked me up at the Nashville terminal when I was in the Air Force. And those days are gone.
And
I tell you,
and for what? And for what? In the name of safety and security, when we have a wide open southern border.
Yeah, exactly. You're all right. But hey, you are doing a great job. I appreciate you very much.
Oh man, thank you for saying that. I appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for the call, Carl. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, are we in a better place now than we were before September 11th? Like I said to Carl, do you feel safer with all the TSA security at the airport? Do you feel safer with the Patriot Act in place? Is the country better, or is 9/11 going to be looked back on by historians as the day America started to fall? It's interesting. There's the division in this country. After 9/11, there was all these Disney promos about how great America was. Now we're 22 years removed, and Disney Channel will tell your kids that America's a racist country. It's crazy. It's crazy where we were and where we've gone in the last 22 years. It really is insane. And like I said to my friend Carl on the phone, we do all this to keep people safe, to keep people secure. But the border is wide open. Wide open. Unbelievable. There's a campaign going on the border right now. It's called the Great American Cleanup. And what they're doing on the Great American Cleanup is they're cleaning the area around the border. The Great American Cleanup every year, this is done by John Rourke. He organizes a massive cleanup in honor of 9/11. And here he is explaining what the Great American Cleanup is and why they're doing it on 9/11.
Here I am with John Rourke at the U.S.-Mexico border for the Great American Cleanup. John, tell us why we're here, what we're doing, and why you're doing this.
Yeah, so thank you for having me. I do this every year on 9/11, September 11th. I don't want America to forget about all the people that we lost on 9/11. 2,977 souls perished, and obviously more than that after the fact. So I like to bring awareness back to 9/11. So I do this every year in a different town throughout America. The list will be the fourth cleanup I've done. The last three have been in border towns. And then I did one previous to that in inner city Baltimore, where we picked up 26 tons of garbage just off the streets of Baltimore. But I've started to stick with the border towns because obviously, as you can see, we're in dire situation down here. We have thousands of illegal immigrants living on the other side of the Rio waiting to cross into the United States. And as you can see from the tons of garbage that are left behind, it's starting to destroy the pristine lands of the Rio Grande.
It's crazy in this video where you see John Rourke and the Great American Cleanup kind of showing what it looks like on the Rio Grande. You hear about this stuff, but to actually see it firsthand from an unbiased camera lens is pretty incredible. You see across the Rio Grande, and it's just a tent city. I mean, it's a tent city so large that it would put to shame the tent cities that we have in Hermitage. And it's just thousands upon thousands of people waiting to cross over. And when they cross over, well, naturally, they have to discard a lot of items. They come over with trash bags full of dry clothes, and they dump the wet stuff on the ground. They dump whatever contraband they have, and they get to moving to find an agent to turn themselves in and go for asylum. Here's John explaining why this massive cleanup is important to him and why he does this every year on 9/11.
So this is why I do this. I do this for the forgotten Americans that are in these border towns that no one cares about. We all hear about New York and Chicago and all of the illegals and the problems they're having there, but no one ever talks about the border towns.
No, nobody ever does talk about the border towns. I love the way you said that. It's 9/11. We're always told never forget. But men and women are forgotten around this country every single day. Every single day, men and women are dealing with substantial amounts of crime and illegality in this country, and we don't bat an eye. We don't think about them at all. These are forgotten men and women. But the garbage that's down there on the border, the absolute insane amounts of garbage, is crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Explain the garbage.
Yeah.
Why is it that people are making this trip? They come across this razor wire that's behind you.
Yes.
And then they're leaving all their stuff.
Yeah.
So what's going on here? Explain how this works.
Essentially what happens is they cross the Rio Grande and they usually bring a garbage bag. That's why you see so many garbage bags here with dry clothes in it. Obviously they cross the Rio, they're soaking wet. So as soon as they get on the dry land, they take their wet clothes off, take the dry clothes out of the garbage bag, put the dry clothes on, and then they're in search of a Border Patrol agent to turn themselves in so they can go through the process of claiming asylum, etc. So this is why you see all these discarded clothing items and book bags and personal items. Unfortunately, you do see a lot of bad things. We've found condoms out here already, lots of medication and birth control pills, lots of those. I've come to find out that they're giving the kids allergy medications to put the kids to sleep when they cross over here so they can't be questioned. So there's just a lot of things that are going on here.
A lot of bad stuff, you guys. Condoms and pills and drugs. He said at the end of that unfortunately they've been finding a lot of allergy medication because they're drugging the kids as they come across so that way they can't answer any questions. I saw a startling video, and I'm not going to play it for you. It wouldn't do it justice anyway. But it was just that. It was an absolutely 100% drugged toddler coming across the border, and people were confronting this man holding this toddler who was clearly drugged. And it's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, as a nation, our border is wide open. There are people that are genuinely, realistically being hurt down there every single day. And what are we doing? We don't do anything. We don't. I mean, thankfully, a guy like John Rourke and the Great American Cleanup are down there, with cameras exposing what's happening down there. And he's doing a lot of this for the awareness. He's doing it on 9/11 in remembrance of what happened 22 years ago. But he says he's doing a lot of this for the awareness of what really is happening to the forgotten men and women down in these border towns. And the awareness is why he's there.
Yeah, I mean, the awareness is the big thing, right? Because the majority of the people, legacy media, you only get to see the people crossing here and there. You never get to see this. You never get to see the stray dogs and cats that are left behind when they cross. Last year, I rescued 40 dogs from Eagle Pass and Del Rio because people bring their animals with them, and then they're not allowed to be processed in the Border Patrol facilities, so they just let their dogs go. So not only is it trash, it's dogs, it's cats, they're all over the place. So this is why we do it. We got to shine a light. The average everyday American does not know, and none of these people that are here right now knew that it was this bad down here.
No, and you watch the video, it's hard to comprehend how bad it is. And it's so bad. There was one section where it looked like they brought over a twin mattress to lay down on the razor wire to then separate the razor wire so that way you had a pathway through from the Rio Grande. And in between that little walkway is just piles upon piles of trash and clothes and drugs. And there's stray dogs and stray cats, and it's terrible. It looks like an absolute third world country down on our border. And we do nothing about it. Nothing gets done. We bellyache, we complain, and nothing happens. Tucker Carlson had some interesting comments about Greg Abbott and his action or lack of action on the border. I'm going to play that for you on the other side of this break. It is 9:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, and this is The Chris Hand Show.
Hear what America is doing to mark 22 years since 9/11. This story and more coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I was talking about the Great American Cleanup and what they're doing on the border, which is pretty cool. They're cleaning up all the trash that's been discarded. And he does John Rourke, the guy in charge over there, does it every year for 9/11 to honor the victims. And, everybody says never forget 9/11. Well, he wants to go out there and not forget the Americans that are forgotten today. So it's a pretty cool thing that they're doing. I joked, I said, what are we doing about the border? It's chaos down there. You have stray dogs, stray cats, clothes, drugs, condoms. They say they're finding allergy medication because they're drugging the young kids as they come across the border with them. So that way they can't answer questions. Unbelievable. Tucker Carlson was speaking the other day. This came across my desk over the weekend. And Tucker had some choice words for Greg Abbott. What are we doing as a country? What's Greg Abbott doing? 0505 texted and said, Chris, you're wrong. When you said we do nothing about the border crossers, we do. We reward them for coming into our country. Yep. Very true. Thanks for the text, 0505. But this is Tucker on Greg Abbott. And this is, Tucker's always, he hits people hard, man. That's what I like about him. This is Tucker on Greg Abbott and the border.
How many Texans do you think are all on board with letting 7 million people cross into their state illegally? What percentage? Zero. I don't care what your race or national origin. Nobody is for that. That's insane. Has the governor of Texas done anything meaningful to stop that? No. The Republican governor? He's got a National Guard. He's the commander-in-chief of the National Guard, and it's Texas, so they're all large. And they have double-stack magazines in their sidearms. You think they couldn't stop that in a week if they... Of course.
Yep.
Just assemble along the border. We're not doing this. No, he refuses to do that.
It's an interesting point. You have the National Guard. Like, it's a great thought that we're busing them to other cities and making Mayor Eric Adams in New York City squirm. But we could have solved this a long time ago. And Greg Abbott does some things. I mean, he put the buoys there, right? The buoys that have been challenged and are still there. But, is that really much of anything compared to what he probably could do? I mean, Tucker thinks that he could do a lot. And Tucker says that he's brought this to Greg Abbott's attention.
He won't do it. And it's not like no one suggested. I've suggested to him 3 times, including in private at a cocktail party in Dallas last year. What are you doing, man? Don't you have a National Guard? Why don't you seal the border? Oh, it's very complicated. No, it's not. No, it's not. If someone's trying to break into my house, it's not complicated to repel the person. Do you have a firearm or don't you? Are you willing to defend your house and your children, or aren't you? Well, it's more complicated. Really, tell me how. Speak slowly so I can understand. It's not more complicated than that. It's more dishonest than that. You're lying to me. You don't want to do it because your donors don't want you to do it. It's that simple. Greg Abbott.
It's always about the donors.
Liar, and worse than liar, betrayer of your own people. That's what that is.
Do you agree with Tucker? You disagree? 615-737-9986. Give me a call. Do you think Greg Abbott could do more? I certainly do. 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Here's Ken Weaver in the news.
9:30 on the dot this Monday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories on this that is supposed to be the warmest day of the week. Full forecast coming up in 2 minutes. It's been 22 years since nearly 3,000 people were killed on the September 11th attacks at the Pentagon, where 184 people died when a hijacked aircraft crashed into the building. A choir sings after the names of the victims were read aloud. President Biden is on his way back to the U.S. following several days abroad, including a groundbreaking set of meetings in Vietnam. Both countries hoping the visit will usher in a new era of partnership between the two countries, of course, trying to blunt China's influence. And the American Red Cross says the number of blood donations last month fell 30,000 short of the target, contributing to a national blood shortage. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Chris Hanford, Paul Winkler Inc. You know me. I got 4 kids, a wonderful wife, and now, thanks to the guys at Paul Winkler, we have a financial plan for the future ahead with these 4 kids, whether it's weddings or college if they want that. We now know exactly where we're going because of our financial roadmap, thanks to the guys at Paul Winkler Inc. Now, Paul and his team hold themselves to a higher level fiduciary standard than is required, and because of that, the government tells me that I got to tell you that I'm paid every time this commercial airs, and, you know, I am. That's fair. But it's because I got to sit down with Paul, have my questions answered honestly, truthfully, quickly, the way that I could understand them, that I decided to become a client myself. I've been so impressed. Paul's a smart guy. He knows the financial world better than I do. And with Paul and his team, this is the biggest part for me. Nothing is done on commission. So when they tell me that they're helping me make the right decisions for me and my family, I can believe them because they're not working on commission. They're not telling me to make a decision that will help them. They're doing it to help me. It's unbelievable. And you can trust these guys. He's made my financial goals far more realistic by explaining what to do and why. And the investment education that they provide is evidence-based and backed by Nobel Prize-winning research. You should check them out. Every office is run by a degree planner with over 20 years of experience. You can feel the difference between Paul's team and the rest, so do what I did. Set up a complimentary 15-minute phone call right now on his website, paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com, or call 615-851-1950.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. One of the things I like to do for investors is educate them, because the more educated I believe that you are as an investor, the more peace of mind you have, the less you worry, and the more successful you're likely to be as an investor. So here goes another education. If we look at a lot of these investment portfolios, like these target date funds out there or portfolios put together by big mutual fund companies, they'll often use something called a total market fund. And you think, wow, I own the whole market in one mutual fund. Matter of fact, there's a really popular video out there on YouTube that says you can get by with just a couple mutual funds and you can be totally diversified. Nothing could be further from the truth. What's going on here is this. One of the things we know as an investor is that you have small companies out there and you have large companies out there. You have growth companies and you have value companies. I taught this in a previous video. We expect more return from small companies than we do large because they have to pay more to use your money historically. Value companies have to pay more to use your money historically as well. Now, what happens with total market funds is they weight based on the size of the company. Well, that would mean that a bigger company would represent more of the portfolio. So graphically, it would look something like this. The fund would look like this. That there's a ton of money in really big companies and there's almost no money in really small companies in those portfolios. So it's not really diversified. Do they own them? Yeah, they own them, but they almost have no money in them. So when these do really well, you're not really getting the benefit from it. What we would be better served doing is investing in various areas of the market and holding different types of funds to be more balanced between these areas. That's what academic research shows us, is if we can hold these areas more separately, then we end up with a better risk-return experience. So this is one of the things that we teach people. We like for you to understand this because the more you understand it, the less you're pulled astray from the investing industry that's typically all about selling you things. Yeah, total market fund, it sounds really good. Not necessarily so great in practice. Now, if you want to find out a little bit more and learn more about investing so that you're a more educated investor, why don't you take us up on a free 15-minute phone call? Go to paulwinkler.com. It's paulwinkler.com. You can set up one in any of our offices, our 10 offices around the Nashville area. There's one near you, most likely. Set that up. Come see us. We love to educate investors. I think you'll be happy you did.
He won't do it. And it's not like no one suggested. I've suggested to him 3 times, including in private at a cocktail party in Dallas last year. What are you doing, man? Don't you have a National Guard? Why don't you seal the border? Oh, it's very complicated. No, it's not. No, it's not. If someone's trying to break into my house, it's not complicated to repel the person. Do you have a firearm or don't you? Are you willing to defend your house and your children, or aren't you? Well, it's more complicated. Really, tell me how. Speak slowly so I can understand. It's not more complicated than that. It's more dishonest than that. You're lying to me. You don't want to do it because your donors don't want you to do it. It's that simple. Greg Abbott. Liar. Liar. And worse than liar, betrayer of your own people. That's what that is.
Ooh, Tucker Carlson with some harsh words for Governor Greg Abbott.
Bringing the heat.
Texas. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to take that on face value and disagree with Tucker. You know, I mean, we can put the blame on the federal government, but like, what are we doing? We've sent National Guard down there. Greg Abbott's in charge of the Texas National Guard. What are we doing? Now, I did ask for your comments on the Super Text line, 615-737-9986. I got a text from JB. He says, tell us what Governor Abbott could do that he has not already tried, that the federal government has not already sued him for. Tell me. I guess Abbott is a rhino. Nothing gets done, so they're all rhinos. Right. I'm not saying Abbott's a rhino. I'm not. I'm just saying, could he be doing more? Tucker certainly seems to think so. Nate on line 1 in Manchester. You want to talk about National Guard at the border. Nate, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up?
I don't know. He might be a rhino. I don't know, but he could do it if he, has some balls.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, that's one thing about Trump. At least he had some balls. But why not Tucker for president? Then he could put up or shut up,
Hey, I would vote for Tucker for president in a heartbeat.
Me too. I say Tucker, Candace Owens, ticket. I'd vote in a heartbeat. You get a lot of votes.
Sign me up.
I'm in 100%.
No, I do too. I mean, I met Tucker. Here's the thing I like about Tucker. He's the same whether he's dealing with college kids and high school kids and goofballs like me that he seems like he is when he's dealing with politicians and the general media apparatus. He seems like he's always the exact same guy. That
sounds great, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He calls it like he sees it. That's what I love about it, and he ain't afraid to say it.
No, you're
it's
absolutely
about
right.
Time this country wakes up before we lose it, and we're going to lose it if we don't wake up.
No, you're absolutely right. And I mean, we're 22 years removed from 9/11. The security state has grown stronger, but the actual security in the country has just gotten weaker.
They have no idea who's here. I mean, they know some, I'm sure, but I guarantee you there's some here they do not know about. The border is so wide open. I mean, look at all the illegal drugs in our country. If the border was sealed, a lot of this stuff would stop coming in.
Oh,
That tells you right there the border's wide open.
absolutely right. Well, and it's literally wide open. They welded some of the gates wide open in Arizona. They have gates in Arizona at a certain section of the border, and they open them up for monsoon flooding and for migratory animals. But the government has literally welded them open. And I don't expect. Thanks for the call, Nate. I really appreciate you. I don't expect Katie Hobbs out of Arizona to do anything on the border. Katie Hobbs, she is just useless at best. So she's not going to jump in and do anything on the border. But where is Greg Abbott? You put up the buoys. That's all nice and well, and I appreciate that. But the border is wide open. The border's wide open.
Kathy's got a good question here. 1696. Chris, doesn't the federal government restrict how states are allowed to use their National Guard?
I'd have to dig in that more.
From my digging, that's what I have found. Unless you are Puerto Rico, Guam, or the Virgin Islands, District of Columbia, it looks like that's the case. But I'm gonna have to do some more digging.
So maybe it is more complicated, as Greg Abbott put it to Tucker Carlson. Luke in Shelbyville, you have a comment on the border. Luke, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, good morning. My only question is, why are we sending people to all these sanctuary states? Why not turn around and send them back across the border and let them deal with it?
Well,
why are we having to deal with it? That's just my only question.
No, I mean, I totally agree with that. I mean, we should be deporting them, but I think the thought process is if we can't deport them, then put them in the blue cities so that way they can feel the pain. And they have. I mean, you can look at Mayor Eric Adams, who's just squirming right now, saying, New York can't handle this. And thanks for the call, Luke. I really appreciate you. We're sending them to blue cities so that way they can feel the pressure, right? And Mayor Eric Adams in New York is feeling the pressure. He's saying we can't afford this. We can't keep going. And then he's being accused of being anti-immigrant and a racist, if you will. He even had to go on TV this weekend and let everybody know I am not a racist.
There's a clear distortion that my comments were anti-immigrant, anti-migrant. The Trump Republicans are trying to use it as such, which is not true. And then even the far left is trying to use it as anti-immigrant. We've done more than our share. Over 110,000 migrants have arrived in this city, 60,000 still remaining in our care. And the announcement we made yesterday is stating that we have to go and do several rounds of finding cost efficiency, 5%, 3 times in a row. That's 15%. We've already spent, and this year we're going to spend up to $5 billion.
I mean, miss me with the empathy for Mayor Eric Adams in New York City after you see what's going on the ground at the Rio Grande River in Texas. I mean, I played some audio earlier from the Great American Cleanup. They do it every year on 9/11. The past 3 years they've been cleaning up border towns and crossing areas, and it's just mountains of trash. Mountains. It looks like a landfill when you see the drugs that are on the ground. IDs. This guy's walking around. He must have picked up 10 IDs within a 2 or 3 minute period because people are coming across and just ditching all of their personal belongings so that way they can go, claim asylum and find the nearest Border Patrol agent. And then we give them a court date. We let them into the interior of the country. So I can't fault Abbott or DeSantis for busing these migrants into New York City, into Martha's Vineyard, over to where Kamala Harris stays in D.C. because at a certain point, they need to feel the pressure that these border towns are feeling. But Mayor Eric Adams will complain and whine and say, "Oh, we can't handle it in New York City." Brownsville, Texas, though, you're on your own, right? Brownsville, Texas, who cares? Does Brownsville, Texas vote blue? If they don't, they don't care about you, and if they don't, you will soon because you're being flooded with illegal aliens that'll be voting soon enough. Mayor Eric Adams was actually asked, you say you're a sanctuary city, so you're not allowed to complain about illegal aliens. What do you say about that, Mr. Mayor?
Well, I think that those comments coming from those far-right Trump-like Republicans who are continue to try to distort the reality.
Oh, yeah. It's just the far-right Trumpers distorting reality. Oh, my gosh. Oh, thanks for clearing that up.
That we do not have real immigration reform, that we should allow a true decompression strategy, protect our borders in the right way.
I mean, his true decompression strategy is just don't send him to New York City anymore, please. You know, check Buffalo, see if there's any vacancy in Buffalo. Have you guys checked out Utica?
And make sure that when you look at this city, the status of right to shelter, no one who created this decades ago took into account that we were talking about hundreds of thousands of people potentially coming to the city.
Because nobody thought when we created these sanctuary policies that people would actually come here. You know, but never mind the fact that everyone warned you, if you're going to be a sanctuary city, they're going to come. They're going to feel empowered to illegally cross the border. But, you know, nobody told us that. Nobody brought that up. Thanks, Mayor. Thanks. I mean, New York is an S-hole right now. An S-hole. And they're paying for the tent cities. There's protests in the street about kids that can't use playgrounds anymore because they're moving in migrants to shelters directly across the street. Nobody feels safe. They didn't feel safe in New York City before the migrant crisis got exacerbated. But it's absolutely insane. 9875 says, the mayor is an ignorant fool. He's mayor of the right city for sure. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. JB texted in. He said, Americans don't know their history, which keeps repeating. The federal government has never done anything but lie to us. Yep, that's fair. Yeah. I mean, I think we're past the point of doing anything other than declaring this an absolute invasion on the southern border. We need all of our military defending our borders. Is that a controversial take? I don't think it is. You won't hear anything like that on CNN. But at what point do we say enough is enough? We're seeing the repercussions of illegal aliens and illegal immigration here as well. I mean, need I remind you about the illegal alien soccer coach in Franklin? You know what I mean? Like this isn't. We're not immune from this. We're not. Hey, Steve, from our friends at the Mill Creek View, you want to talk about the border? Steve, you're on Super Talk. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going? It's a beautiful day in Tennessee.
Every day is a beautiful day in Tennessee. What's up, Steve?
I cannot believe that Kevin McCarthy and the Republican Congress are getting a pass on this. I know they're on vacation. They don't come back for another week. But, man, they have plenary powers to defend the border, and they haven't done a darn thing, and we voted for them in November to make a change. And they're not doing it, and everyone's blaming Abbott and Tucker Carlson and the Republicans that aren't even elected like Trump. These guys, McCarthy, have to do it. They haven't done anything.
McCarthy said he was going to impeach Mayorkas on day one, Steve. Day one, he said he would.
I know, and so did Mark Green. Mark Green is the chairman of the House Homeland Security, and he says it every day, but he hasn't done it.
No. But the best we can do is possibly get an impeachment inquiry on Biden. You know, that's...
Yeah, but they're on vacation, and they're on vacation a week longer than the Senate, so they're totally not serious. But we voted for them in November, so here we come another November, and we have to do something about it because the people are the only ones in charge unless they put them in jail like they did the border guys who didn't like the people running across their grass anymore.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, something has to be done. It just seems like everybody's limp-wristed on this whole issue.
You know what has to be done, in my opinion?
Tell me.
Andy Ogles, Matt Gaetz, MTG, and the rest of the talkers need to actually hold McCarthy accountable for the laundry list that they said, if you want to be speaker, you got to do these things. He hasn't done any of them. They have to toss him out, put somebody in there. Hey, first time Andy Ogles, why not? He's the one who filed the impeachment, and actually use the metal in the desert, rotting and rusting, to build the wall, and let's just see if that stems the flow and deport everybody, like your last caller said. That's outrageous. Eisenhower did it. Let's do it.
Hey, Trump said he would go back to Eisenhower levels of deportation. And as far as the steel rusting down by the border, I think they're selling a lot of it.
Well, good. The government can actually make some money on the darn thing, I would assume, because inflation made the prices go up. But you know what? Trump, we can't wait for Trump. That's a year and a half from now.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yesterday, we've got 5 million illegals in the country, and they're your neighbors now. This ain't okay.
Nope, it's not. And Matt Gaetz said that he was going to bring this up to McCarthy. He was going to talk about ousting McCarthy if something doesn't get done. But I mean, dude, it's hard to believe that they're actually going to do anything.
It's impossible to believe it because the track record shows, the tradition shows they don't, because the only thing Democrats and Republicans can agree upon is cheap labor.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Steve, thanks for the call. Really appreciate you, man. It is 9:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Greg Abbott isn't the only governor in that area of the world that's been under fire. Another governor's been under fire as well. We're going to talk about her and New Mexico on the way. It's 9:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Any police officer will tell you there's no such thing as a routine call. Well, you got to hear about this Tennessee man who is in Kentucky custody right now. And I'll have those details at 10 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN 9:58. All right, we need you to help us kick cancer. All right, so find the link at 997wtn.com. All day today, we're supporting the Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital as they team up with Nashville Soccer Club to fight kids' cancer. And there's an online auction happening right now. You can bid on unique experiences like a live broadcast featuring some of your favorite WTN hosts live from your business. So you could have me and Mac and Ken kicking it with you at work.
Oh, yeah.
Doing the news.
Probably wouldn't get much work done that day, but it'd be okay. We'd have a good time.
Luckily, it's only a 3-hour show. Productivity will skyrocket after noon, I promise. But if you want to help us kick cancer, your bids are going to be supporting Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt, the #1 pediatric hospital in Tennessee and in the Southeast. So find the link, get involved, and help us out. 997wtn.com. The time, my friends, 9:59. Ken Weaver is waiting in the weeds. He's got the news for you on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Ten o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories on what is supposed to be the hottest day of the week. Full forecast coming up in 2 minutes.
At the Pentagon this morning, taps being played as the nation marks 22 years since the terror attacks that killed 184 people there, 40 in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and in New York City, nearly 3,000. ABC's Derek Dennis, who's at Ground Zero, also says the death toll is still rising.
So much has been said about the victims who died inside the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center, but Debbie Candia's husband, Pedro, was outside.
He was a police officer.
Working the scene day after day in the days and weeks after 9/11.
He was here for months.
Sadly, Pedro died last year at the age of 58 from a 9/11-related cancer, among thousands who've also died from 9/11-related illnesses in the 22 years since the attack.
It's very humbling to be here.
Derek Dennis, ABC News, New York.
With continuing coverage remembering 9/11.
That is Sherry Preston reporting. And right now in Kentucky, a Tennessee man's in custody after a fight which police say led to much more. Police in Whitesburg were called to the parking lot of a food city yesterday afternoon where two drivers were fighting on the ground, including Billy Coleman of Bluff City, Tennessee. Once everything settled down, police say they learned Coleman and his wife were living in their van with 35 dogs in the van with them. It also turns out Coleman's wife had gone 2 weeks without food, and the man her husband was fighting was trying to rescue her, according to police. Coleman now facing assault, criminal mischief, disorderly conduct, cruelty to animals charges. Additional felony charges are not being ruled out. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
10:04 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Getting a bunch of texts on the Super Text line. Thought Biden cured cancer. No. He just says he just said he did. He just said he did. But if you do want to help out, I'll tell you today, we're supporting the Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital. Online auction happening now, 997WTN.com to get involved. My cousin actually passed away when he was 19 from lymphoma.
It's terrible.
Kids dealing with that is just awful. Wouldn't wish that on anybody. It feels good to be able to help. Feels good to be able to get involved. Bring some normalcy back to these kids. They deserve it. The hospital is doing good work for those kids with cancer. So 997WTN.com to get involved. Okay. Switching lanes. Another governor under fire in the Southwest. You know, Tucker was on Greg Abbott, but there's another governor out there, Michelle Grisham, the New Mexico governor. I know you guys have heard this, so I definitely want to get your thoughts. The phone lines are open. 615-737-9986. The super text line as well, 615-737-9986. All right, so the governor comes out. Apparently, a young child was shot. So the governor of New Mexico decides that she's going to ban open and concealed carry for the next 30 days. That's what she said, via a public health order. You literally can't make this up. Unbelievable.
So in this public health order, which is effective today, September 8th, which lasts 30 days, and then we'll, like all the other public health orders, we will either amend or renew or adjust, depending upon where we are. So effective immediately, no person other than a law enforcement officer or licensed security officer shall possess a firearm, either openly or concealed, within cities or counties, averaging 1,000 or more violent crimes per 100,000.
So if you're in one of those counties where those violent crimes exceed that, you are now no longer legally allowed to protect yourself and your family, according to the New Mexico governor. Nice.
And more than 90 firearm-related emergency department visits. So to put that in sort of a layman's term,
lay it down for me.
Terms, for 30 days in Albuquerque and Bernalillo County, it's the only place that meets both those standards. Statewide order, but only one place meets both criteria, where we have far too many ER gunshot visits and we have far too many crimes involving firearms. We are suspending open and concealed carry.
Oh, that's just so great. What a forward-thinking, progressive stance to take, ma'am. What an honor it is to be able to cover this topic. You know, we're seeing real reform, right? That's what they want, real reform. You know, it's funny, when COVID happened, we said these overreaching public health orders will one day be used against gun rights and, tack another W on the board for conspiracy theorists. Because via a public health order now, New Mexico, you can't have open or concealed carry. Unbelievable. For 30 days. Now, I will point out, nobody's taking this woman serious. The Bernalillo County District Attorney, Sam Bregman, made clear Saturday that he's not enforcing the New Mexico Governor, Michelle Lujan Grisham's 30-day ban on concealed carry. But where does this woman get off that because crime is so high, because they can't arrest everyone, she's going to ban open and concealed carry? She's just going to ban it. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Scott in Columbia, what do you think about the New Mexico governor's public health order, sir? Are you for it, Scott?
No. And I want to know, or else what? Or else what if I'm a licensed carrier in the state of New Mexico?
Well, you're going to get arrested. They said that they would arrest you.
Well, catch me if you can if it's concealed.
Hey, you know what? It's hard to disagree with you. This is so unconstitutional. I'm actually honestly surprised that this governor hasn't already been removed or arrested over these comments.
All liberals are cuckoo. That's all I can say.
Hey, thanks for the call. Very, very sound point. Very, deep wisdom in that. All liberals are cuckoo.
Based.
Absolutely based. But I mean, this governor, she knows this is unconstitutional. She was asked, isn't this unconstitutional?
You took an oath to the Constitution. Isn't it unconstitutional to say you cannot exercise your carry license?
With one exception.
Oh, with one exception. You ready for the exception?
Yeah.
And that is...
Are you sure you're ready?
I don't know anymore.
Here's the exception.
If there's an emergency...
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
All right. Thanks. Thanks.
And I've declared an emergency for a temporary amount of time, I can invoke additional powers. No constitutional right, in my view, including my oath, is intended to be absolute.
What? What's that? Can you do just one more time for the people in the back?
No constitutional right, in my view, including my oath, is intended to be absolute.
I think
there
it
are
was.
restrictions on free speech. There are restrictions on my freedoms.
I think that the Constitution is pretty clear on that. So why isn't this governor already in handcuffs? Why hasn't she already been removed? I mean, 2023, my friends, and a governor of a state in the U.S. of A. feels so empowered that she can say this.
No constitutional right, in my view, including my oath, is intended to be absolute.
This is where we've come. This is how far we have strayed. Could you imagine somebody, on 9/12/2001, somebody saying, guys, it's an emergency. We're going to have to suspend your right to open and concealed carry. No, that would have been a bridge too far. Hey, Todd in Lafayette, you have a comment on the New Mexico governor. Todd, what do you think? Are your rights in her oath to the Constitution, are they not absolute?
My right to carry a gun is my God-given right.
Amen.
And she's crazy as all get out. With all the Corona deal, all the mask mandates, and all the WHO, doing all their thing. It's like they got it all planned up, and they're just trying to see how far they can go. I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, and during Corona and during COVID and all that, we knew that a public health order, if they could shut down your business over a virus, then it's a quick hop and a skip to declaring a public health emergency over gun violence.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, it's like a book they're following. Crazy liberals are us. Let's see how far we can push this. Let's see. It's crazy.
No, it is crazy.
And I hope somebody steps up and gets that crazy woman out. I mean, I don't know how bad New Mexico is as far as Democrat or Republican, but I think all of them about crazy.
It's bad, and thanks for the call, Todd. I mean, like I said, the Bernalillo County District Attorney, Sam Bregman, has already made it clear that he is not enforcing her 30-day ban on concealed carry. We also did have protesters, New Mexico residents, showing up en masse with their firearms, opening and concealed carry, and this is what the protest sounded like yesterday.
All we want to do is protect our families, our friends, our communities. I've gone on 2 combat tours with the Marine Corps and fought on the front lines. I've done 11 trips as an independent contractor. She thinks she has the right to take away my freedom to protect my community. I don't think so. This will not stand. We will not comply.
And, there's a group of look like 100 or so people out there protesting. I would have liked to see a lot larger of a group, but in this mass surveillance state that we live in a post 9/11 world, maybe people are nervous to go out there and protest. And can you blame them? I mean, all you're doing by going out there to protest I understand the need to protest, but I could understand somebody's argument if they were like, yeah, but then with facial recognition software, with all this and that, now I'm on a list.
Now I'm the target. Yeah.
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 And we've seen the way that the FBI and these intelligence agencies have flipped the Patriot Act to come after domestic terrorists in much of the same way that they've gone after, Muslim extremists and things of that nature. So maybe that's why the protest crowd was a little bit smaller than it should have been. I don't know. Adam in Columbia, what do you think about the New Mexico governor and her unconstitutional power grab? Hey, Adam, you're on Super Talk.
Hey, Chris, how are we today?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm great. Man, this is just an example of liberal logic. We have someone that commits a crime, so in order to prevent them from committing a crime, we punish the people who have not by taking away their rights.
Absolutely. The criminals are shooting people, so let's disarm the people that will stop them.
Absolutely. And I will say this too. I don't foresee this ever happening in Tennessee. I've been wrong in the past, but as a Tennessean that carries a gun, I will say Mullen Labe, come and get them.
Yeah,
come take them from you.
Absolutely. If any Tennessee governor ever put that kind of a restriction in place, I would keep carrying as well. It's just
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the call. Wayne in Nashville, your thoughts on the New Mexico governor. Wayne, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, number one, she needs to go back and read the Constitution. Quite pure and simple. She needs to go to Hillsdale College and take a course on the Constitution.
Yeah, you can get a free Hillsdale College.
I've seen those. It won't call. I've taken a couple of their classes, and they are outstanding. The free ones, they put a lot of stuff in them.
Well, and I missed the point in my constitutional class where this was taught.
No constitutional right, in my view, including my oath, is intended to be absolute.
Yeah, no, is it intended to be absolute?
On that same note, though, I'm a firearms instructor. Have been for years. Certified through the NRA. Used to teach here in Tennessee. I'm kind of doing some other things now, but 30-year veteran.
Thanks for your service.
Couple of tours. And I'm going to tell you, most of these people that, like her, they need to go and live in some of the places I've been to. Just go and live there and not have a ticket out until somebody says that you can leave.
Well, yeah, and she's just the type of person that will say, "Oh, you can't have this gun because of this public health order and this emergency," but at the same time, I'm going to keep my armed security.
Right, and that makes me think about the other politician that was recently in the news that got carjacked and got beat up.
Yep,
that
it
was
the
let's defund the police. Yeah, and
in
so
Minnesota.
It's all And I'll be honest with you, I just went out to, unfortunately, I had to go out to California a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago, and I actually witnessed in Oakland a couple of guys with ski masks on pulling up in a parking lot, a restaurant parking lot, one of them jumping out, and because they had already been there like a couple of hours before, there was an Oakland police officer actually there in the parking lot who kind of temporarily gave chase to him and chased him off, so they weren't successful in busting in anybody's car at that point. But it's that same thing. I'm standing there. Here I am, a Tennessean. I'm an American. I have a constitutional right to be able to defend myself and carry a gun because I have a right to keep and bear arms. But in California, to be compliant with them, I didn't have a firearm with me. And I'm sitting here thinking, what am I going to do I cannot defend myself?
No, you're absolutely right. It's crazy, and this is happening in blue cities everywhere. Thanks for the call, Wayne. I really appreciate you, man. And the story he was talking about, it was in Minneapolis last week, Wednesday evening. The Minnesota Democrat Vice Chairperson Shivanthi Sethanthanan was carjacked in front of her children. In the driveway of her Minneapolis home. This is a woman that championed to defund the police in Minnesota, and now that she has been carjacked in front of her home left bloodied in front of her children. She's seeing the repercussions of these policies that they're pushing in these blue states. And now the New Mexico governor wants to take away your right to conceal carry and open carry. Dave in Hendersonville, your thoughts on the New Mexico governor and her unconstitutional overreach. What's up, man? You're on Super Talk.
Morning to you there, Chris.
Morning.
She definitely needs to be removed. Don't think this is not going to be the last one that tries this. We have let this stuff go on by the Democrats way too long, and it's going to get worse.
Yeah,
worse until we stand up and put our foot down and stop it.
No, I agree with you. I think that you're going to see things get worse before they get better. Thanks for the call, Dave. It's like, where are we at, man? You're just going to suspend our constitutional rights for an emergency. The emergency is there's too many criminals. Oh, weird.
And Rocco texted in 4417. Oh, yeah, because people that commit gun crimes are going to not carry a gun anymore because it's against the law. Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, I think they would turn him in. I think no one in good faith, no criminal at least, would ignore that order. It's 10:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Got a crash in Nashville. It is blocking the right exit lane from 24 westbound before Bell Road. And it's been 22 years since September 11th terrorist attacks. We'll let you hear what's going on to mark those years. And right now in Nashville, the search is on for some road rage shooters. These stories and more at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. You know, it's a good thing Bill Lee doesn't see those road rage shooters as an emergency and take away our right to open and conceal carry here in the state of Tennessee. Because as we've seen with the New Mexico state governor, these kind of emergencies, guys, they'll suspend your rights quick.
No constitutional right, in my view, including my oath, is intended to be absolute.
That was New Mexico Governor Michelle Grisham. And she doubled down over the weekend. On Sunday, she posted on X and said, on Twitter, said, we need to do everything we can to protect our kids in our communities from the scourge of gun violence. Yeah, everything, right? Other than have your own gun to protect kids from gun violence. She went on to say, the fact is these legislators have no plan. As governor, it's my job to take action and put New Mexicans' safety first, not complain about problems we are elected to solve. How are you putting people's safety first if you're taking away one of their primary means of self-defense?
Looked up the definition of oath. Just to see where she's at.
Fun?
Yeah, just for fun. Let's see.
Fun.
Yeah.
What's the definition of oath, Mac?
It'd be a solemn promise taken as a sign of verity. So,
no constitutional right, in my view, including my oath, is intended to be absolute.
Oh, all right. I wonder if that definition applies. Another thing was weird. It's weird when the left starts coming out and disagreeing with you. Like David Hogg of, Parkland shooting and gun rights activism. David Hogg said, I support guns, in commenting on the New Mexico governor's public health order, commented and said, I support gun safety, but there's no such thing as a state public health emergency exception to the U.S. Constitution. And I felt so weird when I'm sitting there agreeing with David Hogg. It's a weird feeling. But then I felt a little bit better because it seemed like it was canned talking points because Ted Lieu, good old Ted Lieu, came out and said basically the same thing. So I think somebody emailed everybody the talking points because Ted Lieu said, I support gun safety laws. However, this order from the governor of New Mexico violates the U.S. Constitution. No state in the union can suspend the federal Constitution. There's no such thing as a state public health emergency exception to the U.S. Constitution. So then I felt a little bit better. At least they're using canned talking points. Yeah, it's not that I was agreeing with David Hogg's original thoughts. It was what his handlers told him to say. But I mean, the point still stands. There is no such thing as a state public health emergency exception to the U.S. Constitution. And we knew this was coming. We knew during COVID that they would use something like these public health emergencies to limit gun rights. I mean, were you on the internet at all during COVID? Because everybody said that this would be coming down the pike. Everyone.
5547 says, will New Mexico now ban knives, ropes, hands for public health?
If we're following the path of our friends in England, you gotta bend that knife.
Oi, bruv.
Oh, hey, mate, you got a license for that
hey,
knife?
Get that knife out of here.
Oi.
Oi.
Bloody hell. I mean, like, what are you going to ban next? What are you going to ban next? In England, it was like when they banned firearms, the rate of hot robberies in America is very, very low. Hot robberies mean that they do it when people are home.
Okay.
And they're very low in America because most homeowners are armed. You don't know who you're barging in on and if you're going to get shot. Fair enough. In England, when they banned firearms, hot robberies went through the roof because now they knew you weren't armed and you could show them where the valuables are. So, I mean,
scary.
But, the New Mexico governor, Michelle Grisham, she's defiant. She's receiving pushback left and right. It seems like everybody is saying, what are you doing, lady? What are you doing? Unbelievable.
No constitutional right, in my view, including my oath, is intended to be absolute.
It It's not intended to be absolute. Ken Weaver's got the headlines on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 2 minutes. Tell you about today. It's supposed to be the warmest day of the week. It's been 22 years since nearly 3,000 people were killed on September 11th. And today in New York at the 9/11 Memorial, where the World Trade Center once stood, bells are tolling, marking the moments that hijacked airplanes hit the Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Right now in Nashville, Metro Police looking for suspects in a white sedan involved in a road rage shooting on I-440 at the Nolensville Pike exit. Here's Joylyn Bukovac of Channel 4.
This morning, a 25-year-old is recovering after being shot. She was the passenger in the car targeted along the interstate here. This happened Friday night. And right now, Metro Police are looking for the driver of this white sedan.
Yeah, anyone with information about this car is asked to contact Crime Stoppers at 615-742-7463. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. One of the things I like to do for investors is educate them, because the more educated I believe that you are as an investor, the more peace of mind you have, the less you worry, and the more successful you're likely to be as an investor. So here goes another education. If we look at a lot of these investment portfolios, like these target date funds out there or portfolios put together by big mutual fund companies, they'll often use something called a total market fund. And you think, wow, I own the whole market in one mutual fund. Matter of fact, there's a really popular video out there on YouTube that says you can get by with just a couple mutual funds and you can be totally diversified. Nothing could be further from the truth. What's going on here is this. One of the things we know as an investor is that you have small companies out there and you have large companies out there. You have growth companies and you have value companies. I taught this in a previous video. We expect more return from small companies than we do large because they have to pay more to use your money historically. Value companies have to pay more to use your money historically as well. Now, what happens with total market funds is they weight based on the size of the company. Well, that would mean that a bigger company would represent more of the portfolio. So graphically, it would look something like this. The fund would look like this. That there's a ton of money in really big companies and there's almost no money in really small companies in those portfolios. So it's not really diversified. Do they own them? Yeah, they own them, but they almost have no money in them. So when these do really well, you're not really getting the benefit from it. What we would be better served doing is investing in various areas of the market and holding different types of funds to be more balanced between these areas. That's what academic research shows us, is if we can hold these areas more separately, then we end up with a better risk-return experience. So this is one of the things that we teach people. We like for you to understand this because the more you understand it, the less you're pulled astray from the investing industry that's typically all about selling you things. Yeah, total market fund, it sounds really good. Not necessarily so great in practice. Now, if you want to find out a little bit more and learn more about investing so that you're a more educated investor, why don't you take us up on a free 15-minute phone call? Go to paulwinkler.com. It's paulwinkler.com. You can set up one in any of our offices, our 10 offices around the Nashville area. There's one near you, most likely. Set that up. Come see us. We love to educate investors. I think you'll be happy you did.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Oh, if there's an emergency, if it's an emergency, you guys, well, then, of course, your rights don't matter. That's, of course, according to New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham. She issued her order on Friday, and it went into effect the same day, Breitbart News reported. The order, of course, prohibiting the carrying of handguns and firearms in public, whether openly or concealed. And that prohibition applies to all concealed carry permit holders as well. New Mexico State Rep John Block, a Republican, responded to that order by calling for the governor's impeachment on Twitter, saying, "Impeach and remove Lujan Grisham. We even have Elon behind us on this." That's great. I don't know if hanging your hat on Elon is what you should do. I mean, you have the Constitution behind you too, sir. Gwen Stefani. She spells it with an F, so it threw me off. Stephanie Lord, she's also a Republican out of New Mexico, and she was pushing back against this as well. She said, "We made an oath, which is a promise that we swear that we're going to uphold the Constitution, the rights of New Mexicans," and she threw that right out the window. She added, "I was completely shocked and taken by surprise that she would do such a gross overreach and completely violate the Constitution." Grisham stood defiant against both Block and Lord's calls for impeachment, using a post on X to say, "We need to do everything we can to protect our kids and our communities from the scourge of gun violence. The fact is, these legislators have no plan. As governor, it's my job to take action and put New Mexicans' safety first, not complain about problems we were elected to solve." Yep, so she's solving the problems by taking your rights away in New Mexico. Unbelievable. And, the funny part is the governor knows, she absolutely knows that she's going to receive pushback from this. There's going to be challenges to this. And she still is, she's willing and able to take on all these challenges against her, suspending people's rights because of a public health emergency. Oh, sorry. Here's the audio right here.
Now, I am sure as I go through the rest of this, there are going to be a lot of questions about whether or not we think we have the legal rights to do that.
I don't think there's any questions on whether or not they have the legal rights to do this. I mean, spoiler alert, they don't.
I am sure that before you write this, there will be a legal challenge.
Yeah, there's going to be lots of legal challenges.
And I can't tell you that we win it, given all of the different challenges to gun violence laws and restrictions.
She knows that she's going to be challenged. She knows she's not going to win. She knows it. It's a predetermined conclusion.
On individual firearm access and control. Now, I am sure as I go through the rest of this.
So she's going to be challenged on this. She's not going to win on this. James in South Carolina, you have a comment on the New Mexican governor. James, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, bud?
Hey, Chris, thanks for taking my call, man. I want to go on record, too, and be one of the first to say your bumper music, man, is on point.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, so in regards to the New Mexico governor and all the leftists coming out there like David Hogg saying that, no public health emergency justifies overruling the United States Constitution, I feel like all those talking points are, like you said, getting just copy-pasted out there to everybody because there's got to be evidently something in the works from Republicans or something that they're worried about, maybe like a conservative governor, Republican governor, using that same health emergency law to do something maybe about illegal immigration or something like that. Like, that's the only reason I could think that they would just everybody start saying the same thing and agreeing with, going against the New Mexico governor.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And I have a rule that I say, anytime Republicans and Democrats agree on something, like, be terrified. Definitely, we should definitely keep an eye on that. Absolutely. It sounds like talking points 100%.
Yeah, I agree, man.
Hey, thanks for the call, James. Appreciate you. Gary in White House, you have a comment on the New Mexican governor. Gary, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Gary?
Well, thanks for letting me on. Two things. One, I recall correctly, Kane used a rock and not a Glock. So that settles what killing is all about in murder. It's the person, not the weapon.
Hey, and if God banned The Rock, David would have been defenseless.
Oh, that's another excellent point. Absolutely, and Israel would not have been saved. So here it is. Being retired military.
Thanks for your service.
Thank you, sir. And I'm 70 years old. We didn't have any of this confusion growing up. Everybody knew what murder was. Everybody knew what responsibility for freedom was. But for someone to say that, in their opinion, the Constitution is not an absolute, flies in the face of my Marine veteran buddies that were killed because they absolutely died for an absolute oath. And that really angers me because these people that are now in leadership positions in government have no clue as to American history, the Constitution of the United States, what it means, and the Bill of Rights, which is the only reason why that Constitution was even signed by all the states. There had to be a Bill of Rights. So it is absolute. So I don't know where she's coming from.
No, you're absolutely right. It's 100% absolute, and that's what you sign up to uphold. It's crazy to me, and I feel for you when you're talking about your friends in the Korean War, you know, I don't want our veterans to feel like they went over there and fought for nothing. And if we're just going to trash this piece of paper at home, like, what are we doing?
Yeah, this is the Vietnam era. Yeah, I mean, or even the Gulf War, and you know, any war. You don't lay your life on the line, as an American especially, for a suggestion.
Yep.
It's either real or it isn't real. It's either absolute or it's not absolute. And that's what angers me about these leftists. Are they pushing for a civil war so that we can settle this thing one way or another? Is that what they want?
It feels like it sometimes. It feels like they're pushing for it sometimes. I've long said that I feel like we've been in a cold civil war for years with the amount of division in this country.
Yes, and I'm willing. I mean, I'm not going to live in anything less than a republic, a representative form of democracy. I'm not going to live in a French democracy. And if they think that the American Revolution was something, and the French Revolution is ugly.
Way uglier.
They're pushing for something. Yeah, they're pushing for something they have no clue, because I have neighbors, I've got friends, and I know how the vast majority of veterans feel. Very bitter. Afghanistan pushed lots of people over the line.
That was the most disgraceful thing about this presidency is Afghanistan, the pullout, the botched pullout, and then how he treated those service members coming home, looking at his watch. It was garbage.
Oh yeah, so you don't do that. And then they make up their heroes as they go. They make up their heroes, like his son was killed in Iraq or Afghanistan. His son died of a brain tumor.
I'm convinced that the reason Joe Biden's in Alaska today instead of D.C. or Pittsburgh or Washington or New York is because he probably would have got up there for some opening remarks and been like, you know, my son Bo died in these towers. I'm convinced they were just trying to avert the catastrophe that was waiting for them.
Yeah, and it's so pathetic. It's criminal. All of it is criminal to me. I think anymore it's criminal enterprise what our government is involved in anymore.
Yep.
I got a son in the 82nd Airborne, a young sergeant, and pray for him every day. And
amen.
I worry about him because I served during 3 conflicts. I understand. But he wanted to go in. I'm not going to tell him. He's a man. He does as he wants to.
Yes, sir.
But
I get it. I get it. And hey, Gary, thank you for your call. Thank you for your service. Make sure you tell your son thanks for his service as well. Really appreciate you chiming in on this. Mitch in Columbia, you have a comment on the New Mexico governor basically stealing away people's freedoms at the drop of a hat. What's up, Mitch? You're on Super Talk.
Hey, man, I just wanted to talk. She made the comment that no amendment is absolute, including her oath. Does she not realize that her power comes from New Mexico's constitution? So if nothing is absolute and she can just negate everything, then her power means nothing either, because it comes from that same document. It comes from a similar document, not the same one, but like she took an oath to honor that piece of paper that gives her power. So if she doesn't honor that paper, then she has no power, because that's where all of her power comes from. That's all I got.
Hey, I appreciate the call, Mitch. No, and I mean this woman doesn't know what she's talking about. She just doesn't. You know, this is her defending her decision to just rip apart the Constitution, take away your right to open and concealed carry in New Mexico and Albuquerque and Bernalillo County, because there's so much crime, there's so much death, they can't arrest everyone. They can't keep up with the amount of crime, so their move is to suspend open and concealed carry for 30 days because the crime is that bad. Crazy. This is how she justifies it.
You took an oath to the Constitution. Isn't it unconstitutional to say you cannot exercise your carry license?
With one exception, and that is if there's an emergency, and I've declared an emergency for a temporary amount of time.
There's one exception. If I've declared an emergency.
And I've declared an emergency for a temporary amount of time, I can invoke additional powers. No constitutional right, in my view, including my oath, is intended to be absolute.
Let's get this. Let's get Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham a crown and a purple velvety robe and a scepter. All right. Thank you for lording over us, Governor Grisham, Your Royal Highness.
She's being carried away on a throne.
Yeah, she's got like 4 people carrying her seat and walking her in and out. Unbelievable. This crock of, as Uncle Phil would say, bovine scatology.
Seriously.
Like, unbelievable. Gosh. Reading your text at 615-737-9986. We're getting in a ton of texts. 3887. Do you watch in the next 30 days they will arrest less people on purpose and then say that taking away guns led to a lower crime rate because they are liars? Yeah, that very well could happen.
Bingo.
Or we're going to see them arrest, senior citizens with their open carry or, nonviolent individuals. I mean, this is so bad. And this was, we could all see this coming when they started overreaching constitutionally during COVID. It was just a quick hop and a skip. Your text at 615-737-9986 and your calls. 4076. Yeah, let's let the most powerful person in the world who has the power to void the Constitution because she wants to. Yes, let's welcome her in. Unbelievable. Who in their right mind believes it's only going to be a ban for 30 days, says 5612. Well, she did say that she will be able to extend it if she needs to.
Which lasts 30 days. And then we'll, like all the other public health orders, we will either amend or renew or adjust.
Oh, yeah. Like all the other public health orders, we will amend or renew or adjust. Colleen in Manchester, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Colleen?
Good morning. My question to the governor is, how many people that have a carry concealed permit have been charged with a felony or a shooting of someone? Yeah.
I would argue that it is lower than low. Thank you for the call, Colleen. I really appreciate it. 5281 said, Chris, this is the same thing that we encountered during COVID. A bunch of governors that declared state of emergencies. How did that turn out? Well, it turned out bad. 2591. A first-time texter, 2591. Democrats always send someone out first to do what they're planning everywhere. Oh, yes, absolutely. This is the dipping of the toe in the pool, my friends. They're just checking the temperature. The toes have been dipped. That's what it is. Your comments, your concerns about this constitutional overreach on the way next at 615-737-9986. 1050 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Back pain, neck pain, knee pain, hip pain, elbow pain. It can all be treated with no needles and no downtime. What's going on? It's Chris Hand for the Dr. Gill Center in Franklin. At the Dr. Gill Center, they've been helping people get back to a pain-free life for over 30 years. Now, so many people think they're just a chiropractic center, and while they do practice chiropractic care, they also have state-of-the-art industry equipment like their Class 5 laser, red light therapy, and spinal decompression, all to pinpoint that inflammation in your body, reduce pain, swelling, and accelerate healing. So if you were breaking your back doing yard work over the weekend, wrestling with the kids like I was, and that nagging pain hasn't gone away, you got to go check out the Dr. Gill Center in Franklin. And regardless of where your pain level is, they can help. The Dr. Gill Center wants to offer a special offer to those of you out there that are suffering with pain and looking for non-surgical solutions. $49 will get you all of your new patient initial exams, x-ray, and a complete review of your findings. So that's less than $50 to find out what's causing your pain. So give the Dr. Gill Center in Franklin a call now and begin your journey in becoming pain-free. 615-882-4838. That's 615-882-4838. And tell them Chris Hand told you to call. And remember, my friends, don't take a pill. Call Dr. Gill.
All right, drivers, got an issue on the West Loop going northbound, a rolling roadblock. The left 2 lanes are blocked there, 65 northbound, right before Rosa Parks Boulevard. Remembering 9/11 and election 2024 news. Former President Trump flipping burgers in Iowa. These stories and more at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you see the size of the grill? I mean, I know it's not the size of the grill, it's the patties you're flipping, but Trump was on a grill with it looked like 1,000 burgers.
Those are Trump burgers.
Huge grill.
Huge.
Yeah, huge.
Never seen a grill like it.
These aren't just burgers. These are Trump burgers.
Oh, my gosh.
Did you see him and DeSantis at the Iowa football game, the Iowa State football game?
That's where they were doing the burgers.
That's is that where it was happening?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see I just saw all the pictures of him and DeSantis. That was funny.
All right, I haven't heard the reaction from DeSantis. Did DeSantis get a good reaction at the game?
I don't know.
There was a huge debate on Twitter about who got a better / who got a worse reaction.
Well, he got photobombed.
Yeah, he did get
He was doing a selfie with somebody, and a fan slid in the middle finger behind them.
Nice. Classic.
It was.
All right, I like that kind of stuff. I really do. All right. I'm not gonna lie to you guys.
He's like, no, I'm a fan.
I think that's funny. I love culture jamming, and that's all that is. It's
that just
culture
ruined
jamming.
that fan's whole selfie. I bet you didn't even realize it till he got home.
Oh yeah, he posted it.
He literally posted it before he even looked.
He's editing it on Instagram to try and blur the background.
Come on, man. I like Ron.
All right, hey. So we are going to continue talking about the New Mexico governor. Joe, I see you on hold. Please continue to hold. I'll get to your call next. But I do need to mention all day today we're supporting the Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital as they team up with the Nashville Soccer Club to fight kids' cancer, and we need your help. We have an online auction happening right now. 997WTN.com, and you can bid on all sorts of unique experiences like a live broadcast featuring your favorite host from WTN. So if you want a gang of guys like me, Mac, and Ken coming to your business to do the show live, we'll do that for you, but you have to help us fight childhood cancer. You can kick cancer by texting Kick Cancer to 615-488-4401, or you can just hop on the website, find the link, 997WTN.com. Get involved. We would love to come do the show live on location at your business. I'd be willing to do it in your living room if you put up the highest bid.
Especially if you got hot chicken to serve.
Ooh. Don't tempt us with a good time. All right, more calls and comments on the New Mexico governor from you next. Right now, Ken Weaver's got the latest headlines on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot this Monday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories on this Monday. That is supposed to be the warmest day of the week. We'll tell you about it during the full forecast in 2 minutes. Meanwhile, here's Sherry Preston.
22 years later, the nation pauses to remember. Bells toll at New York's World Trade Center to mark the moment the North Tower fell on September 11th, 2001. ABC's Derek Dennis is there.
Shannon Lewis Adams.
Within earshot of the reading of the names, John Quinn, who just wanted to be close by, where his friend Joyce Carpinetto died on what was the 83rd floor of the North Tower when it was attacked on 9/11.
I bring her picture and I've got some roses and leave by her name.
He says he's come every year for the past 22 years to reflect and remember.
Every September 11th, for as long as I live, I'll be here.
He calls it his holy obligation. Derek Dennis, ABC News at the 9/11 Memorial in Lower Manhattan.
Right now in Nashville, News Channel 5 says the nonprofit organization 9/11 Day will pack more than 230,000 meals to Second Harvest Food Bank for people and families at risk of hunger in Nashville. Organizers say it comes at a time when 1 in 4 people face food insecurity every day. Election 2024 over the weekend, several candidates attended the Iowa football game as the caucus fast approaches. An attempt to knock Trump out of first
At
place.
first, Donald Trump was met with boos. But the former president, who has only visited Iowa 7 times since March, drew the largest crowds as he flipped burgers and courted the GOP voters who will start caucusing just 4 months from now. Some of his rivals have made Iowa more of a priority, like Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
I'm actually starting to hear a lot of people saying, because you're showing up, I'm supporting you.
And tech entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy.
I am going to be the person who's able to unite this country, and I think you all know that.
Still, Trump dominates in the state, both in polling and popularity.
As Brittany Shepard reporting, and the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at USS, United Structural Systems. When I got to meet these guys, they told me that what they do with crawl space encapsulation, waterproofing your crawl space, it's one of those things you don't know you need them until you know you need them. I found that out the hard way. After, having a couple kids, I hadn't put my head down the crawl space in a while. We got a critter down there, poked down there, and realized, oh gosh, need some help. So I called my friends at USS. We're working on a plan to do a total encapsulation in my crawl space, and you should do the same thing. They will make a custom plan for your house. So if you're seeing or noticing standing water in your crawl space, wet basement walls, cracks in your basement floor, trust me, guys, your house is trying to tell you something. And the guys at USS, United Structural Systems, they speak house, and they will come check it out for you. So give them a call today, 615-488-7855. They have 25,000 satisfied customers. I'm confident you'll be number 25,001. So call USS today, 615-488-7855. USS, they take the stress out of home repairs. USSTN.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The New Mexico governor has a extreme constitutional crisis on her hands. A public health order has been handed down, and the public health order was for gun violence. Oh, weird. Weird. And now she says you can't have your open carry or concealed carry. That's banned for 30 days. At which point, like every public health order, she's going to take a look at it, see if they need to, keep it going or renew it. It's so weird because I remember, I'm old enough to remember public health orders that were supposed to expire. I'm old enough to remember 2 weeks to flatten the curve. I don't know about you, but it seems like they always would extend these public health orders. So now the people of Albuquerque and Bernalillo County in New Mexico are defenseless against the gun crime that's plaguing their communities. And so, obviously, just the most rational thing to do is take away guns from law-abiding citizens. Joe in Kentucky, you've been waiting on hold. You have a comment on the New Mexican governor. Joe, you're on Super Talk. What's up, man?
Hey, Chris. Really love the show.
Thanks, bud.
I live in Kentucky, so I'm coming from a perspective of someone who has a governor who has already tried this back during COVID. He issued a public health order and closed churches.
Mm-hmm.
And sent state troopers out to the parking lots of churches to enforce his order of protection or whatever. But so this hits really home with me really hard. I wonder if this governor in Arizona would be willing to apply the same logic to what they call reproductive rights. Could she suspend a woman's right to have an abortion, or could a conservative governor say, "Hey, this is killing a lot of people. Let's just not have abortion anymore"? I think there probably would be some contradiction there.
No, I think you bring up a good point. You know, if you start using this any way you want, you can use it any way you want. Thanks for the call, Joe. And just to clarify, it's the New Mexican governor that is issuing this public health order. But we all remember the public health orders. I mean, overreaching, unconstitutional. I mean, it's just revisionist history to pretend like, you know, we haven't seen something unconstitutional like this before. So we all saw it during COVID. You know, like our friend Joe said, they shut down churches. They don't care about your constitutional rights. They just don't. I got some audio here from the U.S. Open. Oh, it just ties in to the COVID lockdowns, the unconstitutionality of everything. You know, don't bend the knee. Just, you know, that's my advice to you. Don't bend the knee, because at a certain point, they'll be left with nothing to say. This just goes to prove it.
Everyone, your 2023 U.S. Open champion, Novak Djokovic.
Novak Djokovic winning the U.S. Open. Awesome. You love to see it. And, you know, the crazy thing is, I don't remember a athlete standing up for principle like Djokovic ever. You know, he says he's not going to take the COVID jab, and he's basically exiled from tennis. He can't play anywhere. You know, this is the type of athlete I want my kids to look up to. Not a LeBron James, you know, who is afraid to anger his overlords in China. No. Somebody with actual principle like Djokovic. And I was talking with Mac off the air. I think the only other time, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong on the super text line, the only other time an athlete has stood on principle like this would be Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali didn't want to go fight in Vietnam, and he had his U.S. title, his boxing title, stripped from him. He was kicked out of boxing. Muhammad Ali actually ended up regaining the top spot in boxing as well.
Another sneaky right hand. This time he works over the shoulder of Foreman. This is a combination.
Watch it. And that was no phantom. That was no phantom punch. That was no phantom punch. And he's down and out.
So that was the call of Muhammad Ali knocking out George Foreman. Now, Muhammad Ali knocked out George Foreman in 1974. He didn't get back in boxing until 1970.
Wow.
So Jokic was out for 2 years, you know, and completely exiled from tennis over this jab. Muhammad Ali took a little while longer to get back to the top of boxing for not wanting to fight in Vietnam. But where are these athletes that stand on principle? I got a great text from 3936. The two women from the U.S. women's swim team that are protesting and coming out with all the legality is that they tried to force on them with Leah Thomas. Yeah, talking about Riley Gaines. Riley Gaines is a great one.
Perfect example.
Yep, great
Perfect example.
Yep, and that one, I missed that one. So thank you. This is why I like the super text line.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Fourth man in, you know, crowdsource some info. Riley Gaines, Muhammad Ali.
Aaron Rodgers didn't get exiled, but he did not succumb to getting the shots.
No, he didn't. He didn't succumb to the pressure either.
Yeah.
But Djokovic, one of the things that I liked was that the event was sponsored by Moderna. Did you know that?
Gosh, that's so bad.
So then ESPN, which is a Disney-owned company, was forced to announce that Novak Djokovic was not only awarded the title at the U.S. Open, but he also got the Moderna shot of the day. Hold on. The best part is the announcers in the beginning because they see it come through and they go, oh. Like, so just that's the context. They, oh.
Oh, boy.
Oh boy.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. Well, we'll take you to the Moderna shot of the day, and it was saving the match point. Oh, the match point to get to.
Like, even the one announcer, he's like, oh, was it saving the match point? He's like, no, it was the match point. Oh, it wasn't the one right before it?
The day, and it was saving the match point. Oh, the match point to get to number 24. There were a lot of shots that were highly impactful. But here's the final one.
That's your Moderna shot of the day.
Another day at the office. Relief and release there. So the shot of the day.
That's the shot of the day. The Moderna shot of the day. Classic.
Enes Kanter, 56-54 to that, who's now Enes Freedom.
Yeah, Enes Kanter, yep. He speaks out against China all the time. A lot of people think that that's the reason he doesn't have an NBA contract today. He was on the Celtics. Enes Kanter's a good one. Riley Gaines, Enes Kanter.
Chris Paul, I don't know anything about what CP3's done. I'm not saying he hasn't. I just haven't heard that. So interesting. I'll have to look into that. Tebow.
Tim Tebow.
Good one.
He's a good one.
Great example.
Yep. If you haven't had a chance to read Tim Tebow's book, Shaken, you should definitely do that. There's a young adults version if you got kids. I'm a huge Tim Tebow fan, not because of football, but because of the way he speaks out as a Christian. That was my highlight when we went to the Vols game versus UVA the other weekend, was walking out on Broadway and seeing Tim Tebow doing ESPN Game Day stuff. That was pretty cool. Tim Tebow is definitely one of those guys. You know, it's funny. Tim Tebow got lambasted for taking a knee and praying, but nowadays you can take a knee and be celebrated as long as it's to disrespect the national anthem. Weird.
So Stephanie's kind of got a question here, 3260. So you think Muhammad Ali not wanting to box in Vietnam was him standing on principle?
Yeah, I do. I mean, the Vietnam War. Look up the Gulf of Tonkin incident.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was a war that a lot of people didn't support. You know, I mean, I joked with you off the air, the fact that Djokovic gets celebrated with the Moderna shot of the day. It's like if there was like that overwhelming corporate sponsorship back when Ali was boxing,
yeah.
It would have been like, oh, brought to you by the makers of Napalm and the Dow Company. You know what I mean? That knockout. Muhammad Ali was the player on fire of the day. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think if you don't want to fight in war, and you're using it as a religious reason, absolutely. I mean, you may disagree with him, but he is standing on his principle, and I think it's okay to disagree with him. But I think it's important to point out that he's standing on his principles, right? Whether or not you agree with those principles or not, it's principled. So, yeah, I mean, I see your text, F him, about Muhammad Ali. I get it. You know, John texted, he said, as a VA fan, I'm sure Tebow was your highlight of the day. It was.
Burn.
Yep. My father-in-law wanted to make sure I told Ken Weaver that they didn't put up 50 on UVA. It was just 49.
Just 49.
Yep, the Dow Company was the makers of Napalm. Yep, exactly.
Yep.
Yep. Muhammad Ali, this knockout brought to you by the Dow Company. All right. There was also other stuff going on today. Actually, let's go to Wayne in Sumner County real quick. You have a comment on the New Mexico governor and the gun rights problem that they have there. What's up, Wayne? You're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, I actually grew up in New Mexico, and it used to be a purple state. We had Republican governor, we had a Republican senator, of course, the Democrat senator, the legislature was Democrats. It was kind of that mixture.
Yep.
And I remember there was a while in there where we had a Republican governor in Albuquerque, and he came in there and he just really went after the gangs, and the crime rate plummeted. And then, of course, in the last several years since I've been gone, living in other states, it's turned hard blue. And the governor there, my parents still live out there, and it was rough due to the pandemic to have any freedom. She's a real character.
Yeah, she seems like a classic communist.
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty accurate. And the good news is, I think this may be so extreme that it could have a backlash, because, New Mexico has gone solid Democrat voting, but you still got a lot of people out in the country who care about firearms. And of course, I know this is Bernalillo County and Albuquerque where the requirements are, but I don't know. I think this one might end up having a backlash. And, the Democrats are always saying, no, we're not trying to take your guns. We're just trying to have common sense gun legislation, right? Well, guess what? That's exactly what they're doing in New Mexico. They're not seizing them yet, but they're saying you can't use them. You can't have them out. You have to keep them locked away.
Yes.
So
seriously, it's crazy, man. Well, hey, thanks for
the silver lining is hopefully, sometimes you go too far and you can have a backlash.
No, hey, fingers crossed, right? It does seem like a lot of Democrats are pushing back against it. Thanks for the call, Wayne. I appreciate you. It does seem like a lot of Democrats are going to push back against it. I would envision that the president is going to be asked about this at some point. Maybe not today. He's in Alaska for 9/11, and no D.C., no Pittsburgh, no Pennsylvania area, no New York City stop. They were probably trying to prevent a gaffe of epic proportions, but he was out and about all weekend long, around the world in 5 days, as he said, at the G20. This is how he started out the G20.
And I particularly want to thank Prime Minister Modi and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, and President von der Leyen and the European Commissions. And since he's not speaking today, I wanted to, maybe he is speaking today. I had a note he wasn't speaking. At any rate, I'm going to stop there.
All right, so that was day one. That was day one in a nutshell. We'll recap day two as well. All that and more up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Still got that rolling roadblock. The left 2 lanes are blocked. 65 northbound right after Rosa Parks Boulevard. That'll be the West Loop downtown. And a tribute to the grandfather she never met. Details coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. We played this a second ago, but I just wanted to let everybody know how Joe Biden started off the G20. He started it off strong.
And I particularly want to thank Prime Minister Modi and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, and President von der Leyen and the European Commissions. And since he's not speaking today, I wanted to, maybe he is speaking today.
Oh, he is.
I had a note he wasn't speaking. At any rate, I'm going to stop there.
And that's where he stopped.
And he's done.
At any rate, I'm done.
Goodness.
That's our resident in chief, y'all.
In front of the world's leaders.
Oh my gosh, it got so much worse. This is how he opened day 2. That was just day 1.
Oh no.
You want to know how he opened up day 2?
Yeah.
All right. Comes he says, "Good evening." Good evening, everyone. He gets on mic.
It is evening, isn't it? This around the world in 5 days is interesting. Well, there's that one of my staff members said, remember the famous song, Good Morning Vietnam? Well, good evening, Vietnam. And good morning back in America.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Great.
One of my staff members said, everybody knows that famous song. The staff member's like, I told him it was a movie.
I would venture to say that he didn't even have a staff member say anything about that.
Yeah. It's probably
his staff doesn't talk to him.
Hey, by the way, Mr. President, this would be cool to say.
Yeah, what?
It would be lit. The kids love Good Morning Vietnam.
Yeah,
Goodness.
There's that one of my staff members said, remember the famous song, Good Morning Vietnam? Well, good evening, Vietnam.
To crickets. It's like, guys, that was my joke. I was bringing the heat right there. Hey, unrelated, but I did want to point out, warning signs of dementia. Difficulty in communication, especially finding the right words to communicate. Reduced ability to organize, plan, reason, solve problems. Confusion and disorientation. Totally unrelated.
Where am I? What's going to happen to me?
We don't know. We have no idea, sir.
That sounded like 2008.
That sounded like he was put together. He sounded put together there. And then Mr. Resident took questions from his approved list.
Now I will take your questions. Let me see. They told me they gave me 5 people here. Mandita.
That same staff member who told him it was a movie is like, I told him not to tell people it was an approved list.
Yeah.
Classic. So that's our president. There he is, guys.
0370 says, leave him alone. He wanted to go to bed.
He did want to go to bed. He said that at one point, that he wanted to go to bed. But then at one point also he lost his note cards. And he didn't know who to ask for the next question.
Let's see. I'm just following my orders here.
Yeah, we know. Oh, it's awkward. He's shuffling through his papers looking for his list.
Goodness.
Hold on. Then he gets.
Staff, if anybody haven't spoken to. No, I ain't calling on you. I'm calling on. I said I had 5 questions. Anita from VOA.
So he says, I ain't calling on you. I'm looking for my staff. Hey, unrelated, guys. Warning signs of dementia. Mood swings. Agitation.
No, I ain't calling on you. I'm calling on. I said I had 5 questions.
All right, it's just unrelated. Just unrelated things. Unrelated. One of the things I did like, though, is he redressed one of his famous Bidenisms ever, the lying dog-faced pony soldier.
Oh.
He did. And he did it in the most unpolitically correct way ever.
Goodness.
All right, we're going to cover that after the news. It's a long clip, so I don't want to. I want to give it time to breathe. All right. So we're gonna cover the lying dog faced pony soldier, plus Joe Biden's other comments from the G20 Q&A, if you will. And then we maybe there's other unrelated warning signs of dementia that we can address as well. That happens next. Right now, the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
11:30 on the dot this Monday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories on what is supposed to be the warmest day of the week. Full forecast in 2 minutes. It's been 22 years since nearly 3,000 people were killed on the September 11th attacks, including this little girl's grandfather.
And my grandfather, Edward Joseph Papa. Grandpa Eddie, even though I never got to meet you, I feel like I've known you forever. From stories and videos and pictures, it's almost as if you're still here.
That little girl speaking at the memorial in New York City. The American Red Cross says the number of blood donations last month fell 30,000 short of the target, contributing to a national blood shortage. And President Biden's on his way back to the U.S. following several meetings in Vietnam, hoping to blunt China's influence in the region. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. One of the things I like to do for investors is educate them, because the more educated I believe that you are as an investor, the more peace of mind you have, the less you worry, and the more successful you're likely to be as an investor. So here goes another education. If we look at a lot of these investment portfolios, like these target date funds out there or portfolios put together by big mutual fund companies, they'll often use something called a total market fund. And you think, wow, I own the whole market in one mutual fund. Matter of fact, there's a really popular video out there on YouTube that says you can get by with just a couple mutual funds and you can be totally diversified. Nothing could be further from the truth. What's going on here is this. One of the things we know as an investor is that you have small companies out there and you have large companies out there. You have growth companies and you have value companies. I taught this in a previous video. We expect more return from small companies than we do large because they have to pay more to use your money historically. Value companies have to pay more to use your money historically as well. Now, what happens with total market funds is they weight based on the size of the company. Well, that would mean that a bigger company would represent more of the portfolio. So graphically, it would look something like this. The fund would look like this. That there's a ton of money in really big companies and there's almost no money in really small companies in those portfolios. So it's not really diversified. Do they own them? Yeah, they own them, but they almost have no money in them. So when these do really well, you're not really getting the benefit from it. What we would be better served doing is investing in various areas of the market and holding different types of funds to be more balanced between these areas. That's what academic research shows us, is if we can hold these areas more separately, then we end up with a better risk-return experience. So this is one of the things that we teach people. We like for you to understand this, because the more you understand it, the less you're pulled astray from the investing industry that's typically all about selling you things. Yeah, total market fund, it sounds really good. Not necessarily so great in practice. Now, if you want to find out a little bit more and learn more about investing so that you're a more educated investor, why don't you take us up on a free 15-minute phone call? Go to paulwinkler.com. It's paulwinkler.com. You can set up one in any of our offices, our 10 offices around the Nashville area. There's one near you, most likely. Set that up. Come see us. We love to educate investors. I think you'll be happy you did.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. It's got a text from 1451 said, maybe we should have a PSA for Alzheimer's as a radio advertisement. I would, but it'd probably be forgettable for the target audience. That's what? Is that, I'm what? I'm just saying. I don't know. Is that just me? I don't know. I thought it was funny. I'll probably get an email about that one. But no, I mean Alzheimer's, dementia. That's not funny. It's not a joke. It's not. Don't laugh. Don't laugh.
That is not a joke. That is a natural fact.
That is. So the president was in China. I mean, no, in Vietnam, taking his list of questions. He had a list of questions, approved questions. He had an approved list.
Now I will take your questions. Let me see. They told me they gave me 5 people here. Mandita of Reuters.
Oh, yeah. They only gave him a list of 5 people. That's it. That's all he got. 5 people. So they started asking the questions. Naturally, of course, naturally, global warming comes up. Oh, it's terrifying. So we have to tackle this at the G20. Mr. Resident, your thoughts on global warming?
I have not given up at all on the notion that we're going to be able to, how can I say it? I think we can triple the renewable capacity for as it relates to global warming by the year 2030.
Oh, all right. We can renew the capacity for global warming as it relates to renewables by 2030.
Sweet.
Yeah. Good
Awesome, man. Great.
Dope. Dope. All right. Thanks, pal. Appreciate it.
Thanks, bud. See you later.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Michael in Chattanooga, you got a comment on the President-in-Chief Joe Biden. What's up, Michael? You're on Super Talk.
Hey, Chris.
What's up, man? How are you?
Well, all right. I'm glad to hear you're doing okay, because that's what everybody asks you. Anyway, I was scanning through my channels, and somehow it wound up on The View this morning.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry. Are you okay?
Well, yeah, I'm okay. My eyes hurt, but I'm okay. Man, they were hammering the Republicans and praising Biden and hammering. But anyway.
Really, that's so weird. They don't ever do that kind of stuff.
Oh, no. Well, the thing is, it seemed like super overtime hammer. But anyhow, the only one I know is Whoopi, because she did things before The View, when you actually knew her. But anyway, this woman on there was saying, oh, yeah, and they always hammering on Joe Biden, blah, blah, blah. And I see him on his bicycle all the time. I can't pedal that many. I want to know, what kind of bicycle does he have? Has he got one of those electric bikes that you pedal once in a while to charge it? I doubt he's pedaling all over wherever she said he was riding. Don't you?
Yeah, I mean, there's only 2 things that you can count on Joe Biden for. It's crashing bikes and crashing economies. Thanks for the call, Michael. I really appreciate it. And The View, they've been on a tear recently. This is unrelated. I wasn't planning on talking about this, but did you know that they were fat shaming President Trump the other day?
No.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They fat shamed the man.
Note, I wanted to remind people this is the first president that we've ever had who has a mugshot, as she pointed out before.
Yes.
Okay.
Who also lied about his weight.
And also lied about being. Where is there a guy in this room who's 215 pounds?
Are there any 215 pounders?
You are.
And how tall are you?
Pushing 2 bills.
Can you get a camera?
Okay, so this is what Donald Trump says his weight is. Does Donald Trump look like Eddie? He does not look like Eddie. Come on.
You're 6'5" and 215 pounds. And how big is Trump?
He's 6'3" and allegedly 214 pounds.
No. That belly? Are you kidding?
It's so ridiculous.
Well, I don't want anybody saying anything about the number I put on my driver's license.
It's true. I reserve that right. That's the thing. On his driver's license, he's 6'2" and 240. So I get, and he told the New York courts 6'2" and 240. So in the past 5 months, he's gained an inch and he's lost about 30 pounds.
That's the view. They tackle all the hard hitting issues. I had that from last week in the stack, and I never got to it. And our friend brought up the view, so I felt like I had to punish everybody.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's that's what people do on the 5 on Friday. Gutfeld took aim back at the View members.
Imagine a future where our pets can talk to us. It sounds crazy, but researchers believe that artificial intelligence may allow us to one day speak to other species. And right now, they're trying to do it with whales. Greg, as you think about these kind of communications, what would you want most?
I don't know if you
with
want
Gus and you.
Greg, you talk to whales for. I'm not going to say it. No, if I want to hear what whales have to say, I watch The View. Sexist would say. I can't believe you would even think of that.
Yeah, it wasn't him. That's what a sexist would say. All right, where were we? We were talking about the resident in chief and his overwhelming dementia. That's just encapsulating his whole trip for the G20. He wasn't doing good. He wasn't doing good, but he did have a good point. The trip isn't about containing China. Okay, did you know that the G20 wasn't about containing China?
And when will you meet?
So he wanted to let everybody know that containing China isn't his goals.
What this trip was about. It was less about containing China. I don't want to contain China. I just want to make sure we have a relationship with China that is on the up and up, squared away. Everybody knows what it's all about.
Oh, yeah, the up and up, squared away. Everybody knows what it's all about. I think that's literally like the farthest thing from what we have with China right now. Didn't your son take like millions? Didn't he take like $2 million from China? Weird. I just hope it's it's all squared away and it's on the up and up.
I just want to make sure we have a relationship with China that is on the up and up, squared away. Everybody knows what it's all about.
Yeah, everybody knows what it's all about. 10% for the big guy. Yep. But he hopes he can see Mr. Xi soon. That's what he said.
And when will you meet Mr. Xi?
Well, I hope I get to see Mr. Xi sooner than later. I've spent more time with him than any other world leader has, sum total, over the last 12 years. So I hope we get to see him again soon.
Yeah. Checks in the mail. He had another thing to say, and this one got me. So he said the G20 is a time for bigger ideas. And I'll play the clip, and then I'll comment.
For example, one of the things we're doing in terms of I proposed a long time ago at the G7, now it's going to come to fruition at the G20, is making sure that we build a railroad all the way across the African continent. Think about it.
Oh, you're going to build a railroad all the way across the African continent.
Well, just think about it, man.
Here's the thing, right? So, my instant reaction is I want to make fun of the man. Then my other reaction is I don't know, maybe they need a railroad. I don't know what they need in Africa. Maybe they do need a railroad across the continent. Maybe it's a good idea. But the fact that you have said so many outlandish things, and my brain immediately goes to, you got to put the record player on for the kids when they're sleeping. That okay, now, even if they really needed a railroad, I think that you're just doing old man dementia stuff again.
Yeah.
And if we're worried about our carbon footprint and green renewables, is a coal burning train across Africa what we need? I don't know. Let's think about it. We will. We'll ponder on that one. Oh, you got to have these bigger ideas. Can you imagine? Can you believe that we're so preoccupied with global warming, Mr. President?
Many of you are foreign policy experts who have been engaged for a long time. Did you ever think you'd be sitting at a G20 conference where everyone was preoccupied with the notion of global warming?
Nope, didn't think that.
Not a joke. Did you ever think that?
I didn't. Mac, do you ever think that?
No, I didn't. And I didn't think that he was joking either. But still said that it wasn't a joke. So
not a joke.
No one's laughing.
And he did the Tucker voice, too. Tucker voice is becoming a cultural phenomenon.
Global warming.
Oh, my gosh,
right?
yeah.
He did the Tucker voice.
Where everyone was preoccupied with the notion of global warming.
Global warming. Tucker voice is a thing. Even the president's doing it. I do want to make sure that we get to the biggest takeaway from the G20. The G20 where nobody really showed up. Yeah, nobody showed up to this year's G20. But this was my biggest takeaway. He brought up the lying dog-faced pony soldier moment again. This time, to be fair, the man brought a lot more context to the situation.
My brother loves having there's famous lines from movies that he always quotes. And one of them is there's a movie about John Wayne. He's an Indian scout, and they're trying to get I think it was the Apache, one of the great tribes of America, back on the reservation.
So, are we allowed to say Indians and back on the reservation? Is that okay to say? I don't know. I wouldn't say it. I feel like the left would be all over me. But this is the resident we're talking about.
And one of them is there's a movie about John Wayne. He's an Indian scout, and they're trying to get I think it was the Apache, one of the great tribes of America, back on the reservation, and he's standing with the Unions. So they're all on their horses and their saddles, and there's 3 or 4 Indians in headdresses, and the Union soldiers. The Union soldiers basically saying to the Indians, "Come with me, we'll take care of you, everything will be good." And the Indian looks at John Wayne and points to the Union soldier and says, "He's a lying, dog-faced pony soldier."
There it is. So it's from a John Wayne movie. It's a lying, dog-faced pony soldier.
Well, there's a lot of lying, dog-faced pony soldiers out there about global warming.
Whoa. This story had a point at the end. There's a lot of lying dog-faced pony soldiers about global warming. Did you know
there's
that?
A lot of lying dog-faced pony soldiers out there about global warming, but not anymore. All of a sudden, they're all realizing it's a problem. It's a problem, and there's nothing like seeing the light.
Nothing like seeing the light. We are seeing the light, Mr. President. We're seeing the light. 50-50 texted in and said, Joe Biden is dumber than a box of rocks. 50-50, I feel like being a little hard on boxes of rocks.
Come on, man. Yeah, rocks do a lot for us. Come on.
Like, you can use them. They're useful for like paperweights and stuff, like if it's a windy day.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I mean, what are we doing with this guy? Who thought it was a good idea to send him to Vietnam? He said he reminds me of the 2307. He reminds me of the little fat kid on the Goonies trying to explain things to keep from getting killed by the monster. Just goes on and on and on and takes deep breaths, and everything coming out of his mouth makes no sense. Very, very good portrayal.
Yes.
He is. Was it Chubbs? Was that his name on the Goonies?
I think so.
I think that was his name. 4624 said, I blame the people of Delaware. I'm not sure which part you're blaming Delaware for, but Chunk was the name. At this point, we're just blaming all of Delaware for Joe Biden. And everybody agrees 50-50 that was an insult to the box of rocks. We will expect a full apology letter at some point today on the super text line from you. 3616, the Biden administration is withholding food from starving people to push their agenda. Yep. Mama Maury. Oh, Mac's mom texted in.
Oh, there she is.
Said the rail line in Africa will give Buttigieg something to do between paternity leaves. Oh, my gosh.
Savage.
Mac's mom is ruthless. Whoa. I thought if I read the text from Mac's mom, that would be a safe one, but he just brought the heat. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, let's build a train across Africa, and then when it crashes, we'll say, we'll be right there. Be right there. 7815. I don't think Joe's going to get to see the light. No. Everybody's telling him he goes to sleep. It's like, don't run towards the light, whatever you do, Mr. President. We need you for 2024.
John in Lawrenceburg 0973. Oh no, is Biden abandoning the railroad across the Pacific? That's great.
Jason said, I think Joe and the president in China have a summit scheduled in East Palestine. Yeah. We're going to talk about infrastructure and railroads. Yep. Jeez. I mean, that's our leader. He's fearless. He goes where no man will go. You know? 0469 said, Joe Biden is like an 80-year-old Spicoli. Jim says, go back in the basement, Joe. Biden. Brad texted and said, Biden doesn't know what the foe he's talking about or where the foe he is. That's a soup joke. It's a soup joke. If you haven't had pho. Have you had pho?
I have had pho.
Solid.
Very good.
Matt Murphy should get some pho.
Yes, that's a good idea.
He's a little under the weather.
To quote him, he is feeling a little poopy.
Is that what he said?
That's what he said.
Get that man some pho. You know what, though? The dedication that he has to his craft. He is sick. He's hurting. And he's still coming to work.
Yes, sir.
He's not showing up. But he is doing the job. So it's like, I was wondering if he was on the Mac Maury plan.
Oh, my.
But he's just dipping his toe in that pool. He's still going to do his job, Mac. He's not going to take the whole day off.
And he responded to my text, so he's not going full Mac Maury here.
No, he's not going full Mac Maury. If you know anything about Mac Maury, he doesn't respond to texts. How many unread text messages do you have on your phone right now?
It's over 220.
No, you don't. Really?
Yes.
It's somewhere in that stack of 220 is like your grandmother looking for like something important.
Love you, Grandma.
From like a month ago. You got nothing for her. Terrible. 11:51. We're going to check in with Matt Murphy next. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hanford, Jeff Eddy's Efficient Heating and Cooling. You know, my friend Matt Murphy is sick today. His body temperature could be fluctuating. He could be getting the chills. He could be getting sweaty. So you want to be able to turn on the AC, kick on the heat. Well, if your AC and heat are on the fritz, you got to call my friend Jeff Eddy at Efficient Heating and Cooling. It can be so hard to find somebody when you trust with these large home repairs, and that includes the heating and cooling. Well, with Efficient Heating and Cooling, they're a small company with big service and even bigger results. I trust Jeff Eddy and his crew to do what's right, and they've proved it time and time again. Jeff's a good guy, family guy, Christian, and if you're trying to make a decision to repair or replace your system, even if you've already had somebody look at it, give Jeff and his crew a call. They'll walk you through every option and scenario so that way you can make an informed decision, because that's what matters. Most companies are just going to pressure you to replace the system because they make more money that way. Jeff and his crew just want you to make the right choice for your system. And with Efficient, they offer up to 18 months, same as cash financing on your next unit. They're a diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric and an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. Go to efficienthvac.net or call 615-784-4424. Super Talk 99.7 WTN is Chris Hand, 11:58. Am I joined now by the one and only Matt Murphy?
Hey, kids. What's
Matt,
going on?
I missed you, man.
I missed you too, Chris.
How was your vacation?
Vacay was good. The trip was incredible. I'll talk all about it during the show. It was fabulous, wonderful, except that I got COVID. So,
So I can't see you on the camera right now. Are you following the Whoopi Goldberg CDC guidelines and masked up alone in a room by yourself?
I have a mask. I have 2 masks, as a matter of fact. And more importantly, all of my dogs, all 3 dogs have masks.
Oh.
Because you can't be too careful.
I've heard, this is one of those things that a lot of people forgot. Goggles. It can get in through your eyes, too.
That's true.
So
That's true. I think I'm going full hazmat. What do you think?
All right. I think that's the only way to be safe.
That's what I'm going to call the show today. It's the Hazmat Murphy Show.
Oh, I like that. If it saves one life, my friend. If it saves one life.
Hey, I can't wait to hug your neck.
I can't wait. I'm so glad you weren't here because I would have hugged you. We both would have had COVID.
Oh, well, that's a bad cold. That's all it is.
Maybe next time. Matt Murphy's in next. Welcome him. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.